So we've got a raccoon family in the living room wall slash ceiling. This is an image of the living room, and this part here is a thermal image. So we're on the outside, but this is the inside where the babies and raccoon is. So it's approximately right where I have the ladder set up. So what we're gonna try first is we're gonna try pulling off the soffit panel, maybe some siding to avoid cutting a hole in their living room. Most likely this will work, but if not, then we'll have to cut the drywall. Yeah, so these ones are probably only a couple weeks old. So we've got a heated bottom baby box, which we're going to put right beside the entry point up on the roof, along with all the babies. So that way, when the mom comes out, she'll see the babies right away. The rest of the house is already protected against the raccoon, so she's gonna move them somewhere else.
I'm Catherine Mazzone here on behalf of Mojo Streaming, and I'm very proud to announce our guest for today, Bill Dowd of Skedaddle Humane Wildlife Control. Bill, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. Great to be with you.
Yeah, so we were just chatting briefly before we started about the difference between humane and relocation. And I'm just going to jump right into it because apparently that's one of the biggest misperceptions that people have about your business.
Right, exactly. Most people assume that if they have a problem with an animal in their attic, in their chimney, underneath their deck or shed, the solution is to set a trap it, take it away, and out of sight, out of mind. That is furthest from the truth. There's so many urban wildlife in our cities nowadays. They're not going anywhere. In fact, their numbers continue to rise. For example, research has shown in a square mile, there could be anywhere from 15 to 50 raccoons. Same with skunks. I mean, squirrels could be in the hundreds in different parts of the country. So the real solution is not to trap all these animals and take them away, because 70% of relocated animals die. Once again, documented studies have indicated this. The real solution is to first off, humanely get them out, keep the family unit, the babies with the mother, and then animal proof the structure. That's the real long-term solution as a homeowner.
Wow, that sounds really challenging. So
It,
how would you even go about keeping that family unit together? I guess we're going to have to get into the details.
sure. So how we keep the family unit together, this time of year, it's baby season. So we'll see baby raccoons and baby squirrels from the end of February all the way through to the end of June. So it's a wide birthing season. They all don't give birth at the same time. So what we'll do is we'll do a hands-on removal, which means we go up into that attic space, crawl around through that insulation, physically chase or force the mother animal out, pick up the babies in our hands, and then we take them back outside, and then we have this baby reunion box, which is basically a box that is heated, especially for baby raccoons, because mothers will run away and they'll need to stay warm at nighttime when the temperatures drop. The heat keeps the babies warm, and this allows the mother to pick those babies up and carry them away to one of her alternate den sites. Now, all urban wildlife to survive in the city environment have 7 to 10 den sites. So it's not like that raccoon is walking down the street and putting those babies on the roof and chewing a new hole. She already knows that, oh, there's another chimney. I've been in there before. I can go in there. Here's another house. I've been underneath the deck. I can go there. So they are actually flourishing in our cities because 2 reasons. One, we're giving them the food sources, meaning, everybody puts their garbage out the night before when animals are out foraging for food. And 2, our homes. We're leaving our chimneys unscreened. vents on our roofs on screen. We're giving them the opportunity to grow in numbers in an urban center.
If it's going to an alternate den site and that den site happens to be in someone else's home, what happens then to the animal? I mean, we don't know whether it survives or not. They might not be so kind at that other home, or it sounds like you're almost pushing it out, but it has no place. So how does
Well,
that work?
yeah, the secondary den sites, raccoons and squirrels, they all frequent those areas. It's not like they just use one home all the time. So for example, if a raccoon is out foraging for food in the middle of the night and it's, 2 blocks away and daybreak is about to arrive, or sun's about to rise, that raccoon is not going to walk through people's backyards or down the middle of the street to go back to their home 2 blocks away. They're going to say, oh, I have this other attic over here that I know I've already made a hole. I'm just going to slip into that area. So they have these multitude of den sites, and that's just how they flourish in our city environments. So it's kind of, when they give birth in a particular person's attic, it's just that homeowner was the unlucky one, that female was ready to give birth, and she just happened to be spending that day in that attic and gave birth in that attic.
I see. So it could be that it becomes someone else's problem, but we're hoping that they have enough sites to where it doesn't have to necessarily be someone's home that they're moving into, right? Because they might have another den just closer by that's actually under a bridge or something, right?
Right. They just have these den sites, and nowadays, 34 years ago when I started this business, there was more people, just shoot it. I think now society's kind of come along that people are more tolerant of having wildlife in their yards, and they enjoy, maybe they see a nice fox run through their backyard. So society's come around that they're more tolerant of this, and they realize that yes, these animals are in our city. They are wild animals. Keep your distance. And if you don't want to have a problem, animal proof your home. Put the screens on your chimney, put the screens on your vent. Nowadays, every single home, there's anywhere from 35 to 50 items that are vulnerable for raccoons, squirrels, skunks, birds, bats, mice. So, if you really, be proactive, as a homeowner, take a look around your house, hire a company to come out and animal proof that structure. So you don't have to worry if you see that fox, you see that skunk, you see that squirrel, your home is protected.
Yeah, it sounds like your business is as much about education as it is about, I guess, taking action. Yeah. How
Exactly.
much
We're constantly educating the public. As our corporate call center that answers for all of our franchise locations across Canada and the US, we'll get anywhere from 300 to 400 phone calls a day. And virtually every single phone call, the homeowner says, I have a squirrel in my chimney, I have a squirrel in my attic, come out and trap it and take it away. So, we need to educate them why, that is not a viable, ethical, or humane solution. Because if you're going to trap, you can buy your own trap. Now we're in a birthing season. You trap that mother squirrel or mother raccoon and take it away. You have babies that are left to die in your attic or in your wall cavities. And, every year we get these calls. It's very disturbing. If the animals do die, it's a lot more expensive because, if the animal dies down a wall cavity, all you walk in that front door, you smell death. And then we have to start cutting holes in all the walls trying to find these dead animals. So it's a lot more economical to get the animals out when they're alive than trap that that lactating female, and take her away, because then that's just a death sentence for those babies.
Yeah. But are there instances where you find the babies but not the mother, and you have to figure out how to reunite them then?
Yeah, there is those cases where we'll go to a job site, especially with squirrels being active during the daytime. So we'll go into that attic, we'll crawl around, we don't find the mother squirrel, so we'll just take those babies out. The thing with urban wildlife, they are fantastic mothers. So when we take those babies out, we have some tricks of the trades that we teach all of our franchise locations, that to allow that mother to hear those babies, and she knows that's her den site. She knows that's where her babies are. So she will come back and pick them up, and then we'll do follow-up visits to ensure that that's a success rate.
Wow. So you're obviously successful with this because you have franchises and lots of locations across North America, it sounds like. Uh, is this, I mean, it seems kind of revolutionary and simple at the same time. Is
It,
this something that you just thought up one day? How did this come about?
yeah, it kind of started back in uh, 89, 90, 91, 1991, when there was a viral strain of rabies called raccoon rabies that was coming up the east coast of the US. Started in Florida and was slowly working up the east coast towards Canada. So our corporate office is in just outside of Toronto. So, in the early days, my first couple of years in business, we used to, same thing. We never trapped. We would chase that mother raccoon out. We had to catch her. We'd bring her back then it was my house, and we had holding pens, and we'd feed the mother, feed the babies, trying to calm them down. We'd take them out to the woods and let them go. But then the government made it illegal in Ontario to relocate animals because of the viral strain of this rabies. So we didn't want to take an animal from, say, Toronto to Hamilton, an hour away and release it, or 40 minutes outside the city and let it go. So we said, we need to change our methodology. So, we then said, okay, we're going to release these animals on site. So we had to, explain that to the homeowner that it's better to keep this animal in this neighborhood. This is her domain. She knows your home is a den site. We're going to make it animal proof. We're going to give you a lifetime guarantee. So if we spend 8 hours animal proofing your home and that raccoon gets back in, it's on our nickel to get it out. So we focused on that and educated that homeowner that raccoon's going to stay in the neighborhood. It's going to help keep out, strange raccoons. Every neighborhood allows, as I said, anywhere from 15 to 50 in the neighborhood. So she's going to be a protector of your neighborhood. We'll make certain she can't get in and any other raccoons can't get in, and you have our lifetime guarantee. So a lot of educating goes on. As I said, most people just think trap and relocate and out of sight, out of mind. So, we have to explain to them that there's a lot more ethical and humane solution to deal with urban wildlife.
And hockey before this, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine like hockey, wildlife, hockey. You were
Yeah.
already a wildlife fan, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I grew up with, cats and dogs and gerbils and fish, and so I always had a respect for animals. And yes, I did have a short-lived professional hockey career, and there was no real allocation, other than I was young and I was physical, and climbing up and down roofs and running around rooftops, and it was a fun and interesting job. And I was my own boss. I could work when I wanted to work and not work. And then I developed all these systems and procedures and marketing and technology. And, I have some great people that have worked with me and have been with me for 20, 25 years. And we've kind of grown the business together. And, now we're bringing this opportunity. We'd like to see our methodologies, across America. Because, whenever we have a franchise lead for any city, Denver, Chicago, Pittsburgh, when I look, all of our competition is 30 years behind us. They're still setting traps and relocating. So typically whenever we go into a marketplace, we're coming in with a unique and a different methodology. And slowly but surely, all these people that are out there trapping and relocating animals, they see there's a more viable and a better way to do things, which is our hands-on removal techniques that we use.
I'm just trying to imagine y'all running around a house. It's kind of amusing in my head because those buggers are fast sometimes, right? What if you go in, on the other hand, and you don't find any animals? I mean, does this take multiple visits to get them out?
Yeah, sometimes it does take 2 or 3 visits. So we ask that homeowner to kind of work with us, to partner with us. Are you still hearing noises? Are you not hearing noises? Keep us informed. Because in an attic space, it's not like an animal's in your living room where we have the upper hand. We're walking around. We can put a net on a raccoon or squirrel, because that does happen. They come down a chimney and open up the damper and run right through the living room. When they're in an attic environment, we're crawling on our hands and knees and on our bellies, and so there's a lot of hiding spaces in an attic space. So there is times where we don't see an animal. So we have developed what we call as our one-way door, which we can install over the entry point, which allows the animal to exit but then he can't get back in. So we can use that at certain times of the year because we don't want to be separating a mother from babies, because when that happens, a mother raccoon or a mother squirrel or a mother skunk, they can be extremely, extremely destructive trying to get back into a home. Like, just amazing the damage they can do, because you get an upset mother, she'll do whatever she can to get back to her baby. So there's a lot of tips and techniques that we instill and train with our franchise owners.
I see. I just want to get a little background. What's your background? What's your degree in? I saw you graduated from Brock.
Yes, I went to Brock University, which is in St. Catharines, Ontario, just outside of Niagara Falls. I have a degree in physical education. So,
okay.
I didn't have a biology degree or a science degree, but I understood customer service. And, I knew that, we don't compete on price, we compete on customer service. I am going to give my company or franchise are going to give you the best customer service ever. We're going to show up on time, we're going to do what we want, we're going to do what we say we're going to do, we're not going to overpromise and underdeliver. So I built a team. My skills are growing the business and developing the methodologies and whatnot, but surrounding yourself with good people, proper accountants and managers and supervisors and marketing people, building a team, because as a business owner you can't do everything. Do what you do well and hire the rest. So I didn't this was kind of my third career. At first I was going to be I was a pro hockey player. I went back to school. I was going to be a phys ed teacher. Didn't get in teachers college. Just kind of fell in this wildlife world and really enjoyed it. And here we are 34 years later and still growing every single year.
How is this more effective? I mean, it's obviously more humane. Would you say that it's comparably effective as dispatching? And I hate to say that because it's a euphemism. It's killing animals.
With relocating or dispatching animals, nature's a vacuum. In every urban center, every city block or a few blocks, there's a whole ecosystem right in that area, which will allow the population to survive based on food sources and den sites. So if you're relocating an animal or dispatching an animal, that's reducing the population. And every year, we'll have homeowners that say, "Oh, I've trapped 20 squirrels for the past 20 years every year, and I still have squirrels in my backyard." It's like, that's a great hobby. You keep on doing it, because every time you take an animal out of that little ecosystem, that allows outlaying animals to then move in. And there's more den sites, there's more food sources. And once again, there's been documented studies that show this, that the population will actually increase by 30%, because the mothers that move into that area with more den sites, more food sources, instead of having litter sizes of 3 or 4 babies, they might have 5 or 6. So the population actually increases. So you want to keep that ecosystem balanced. And that's why, that animal proofing that structure, when your home is protected, that animal has those alternate den sites in the neighborhood, and they're just going to spend more time in those den sites as opposed to that one that we've evicted them out and excluded them from getting back in.
So this isn't just let's be nicer to the animals. This is based on science. We're really looking at this as a more beneficial and environmentally conscious way of handling wildlife in urban centers. I mean, because obviously the more people, the more we're displacing said wildlife and the more it's encroaching on us. So
right.
How do we live more cooperatively with wildlife?
I think, be conscientious that, the wildlife is all around us. We love videos, and our YouTube channel has tons of videos on how we do our stuff and photos we constantly take. But we'll set up trail cameras sometimes. A homeowner might have a skunk underneath their shed. So we'll put up a trail camera to see, what goes on at nighttime. And there's a whole world out there, the cloak of darkness when we're sleeping. In one night, we'll catch on our cameras, not only a skunk, but we'll see a fox come through, a raccoon, a mouse, a rat, an opossum. there's a whole, you know, a lot goes on in the cloak of darkness that we as humans don't realize. So, um, you know, they are out there, so be conscientious they're out there. You know, keep your garbage in a secure container that animals can't get into. Always put your garbage out first thing in the morning, not the night before, because this is when the animals are out tipping over garbage cans and getting into the food sources. And then, most important, animal proof your home. Put screens on your chimneys, put screens on your roof vents, put screens on your vents on your walls. Any crack or crevice, you know, seal that up, because these animals are opportunistic. If they can get a little crack or crevice, they can get their claws in or teeth into. You know, a squirrel will make a hole the size of a baseball, and then he'll be able to come and go. An American red squirrel only needs an opening the size of a golf ball, and he'll squeeze in. A mouse or a rat only need an opening the size of a dime, and same with a bat. A raccoon will take that little crack and make it the size of a football to get into your home. So, you know, these animals are opportunistic. So take those opportunities away from them. You know, protect your biggest investment of your life, your home, and you know,
Yeah.
you should be fine living in a city. The next thing you'd have to do would be to live in a condo or an apartment building, but then you're going to have pigeons living on your balcony. You're going to need to net that off for the pigeons. So, you know, you can't win. There's, as I said, there's more animals nowadays in our urban centers than there is, you know, living out in the country.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's important to say that just because we don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. I
That's
mean,
right.
those unseen raccoons really got me because I don't see any raccoons, but they're there.
We have some areas that we service, you know, in Vancouver, Victoria, British Columbia. You know, we do get a lot. There's a lot of bear activity in that area,
Wow.
or Northern Ontario in Canada. There's some bear activity. You know, they might be in their decks or sheds, but for the most part, you know, any animal, whether it's a bear or an alligator or a big snake in Florida or Texas, same
Yeah, I didn't even
principles
think
apply.
about those things.
Yeah, same principles apply. You know, if they're underneath a structure or in a structure, you know, we have the knowledge that how to animal proof that. So once we get them out, they won't be able to get back in. And I have a whole crew of people here in Canada, the A team, that would, you know, couldn't wait to get down to Florida when we get a franchise in Florida to go deal with an alligator or a big snake or something like that.
Yeah,
So I'd be on that plane too, because those would be pretty exciting jobs to
I
get
would
on and do
imagine.
that. Yeah,
Before you know it, you'll be doing tarantulas too, you know,
that's right.
out in the
Yeah, yeah.
West. Um, but let me get this straight though. For bears, you just go in there, you just say, "Hey, bear."
Well, we've had a couple of calls with bears where, you know, when we talk about what needs to be done, it might be a deck that's, you know, 5 feet off the ground, and, you know, you got to net all that. But, you know, by the time, bears are pretty nomadic and they just typically just move on. So we give a lot of free advice over the phone for homeowners that are calling in that, you know, kind of, here, this is what you need to do, some habitat modification that, you know, the animal will just move on by its own accord.
Mhm. And you haven't had to deal with any really dangerous bears, right?
Probably the most dangerous we've dealt with, and this is, geez, 25, 30 years ago, we had Japanese snow monkeys that,
What are those?
yes. So Japanese snow monkey macabres, they said about the adults would be about 3 feet high on all four. They're from the mountains of Japan. So they're used to cold weather. They were living, or somebody had them at a private zoo just outside of Niagara Falls. And this person opened the cage and let them out. So we got the call from the government that, you know, these monkeys were running loose, and can you guys come and catch them? And we were kind of young and not as educated. Oh yeah, we could do this. And we went out, and it's almost like it was we were in Africa. You know, we pull up and we see the gentleman. It's kind of more rural area. The gentleman walks out carrying a hockey stick. Canadian, he's got to carry a hockey stick, not a
Of
baseball bat.
course, of course.
And what's he got a hockey stick for? So anyhow, we look up in the trees, you know, 60-foot pine trees, and you see the monkeys swinging and jumping from tree to tree. And like, it was the coolest thing. And then what was happening was the female would go into heat once a year, and she would try to mate with the homeowner. So he was carrying that stick to kind of keep, not to hurt her, but kind of keep her at bay. And this couple just loved these monkeys. They would go to, you know, Buffalo was 20 minutes over the border. They go to Buffalo Zoo and get primate food, and they're feeding them. So the reason the government call is the two young ones. There was a young male. He started showing his dominance and was, attacking people. And they carry hepatitis, HIV, a lot of communicable diseases for us as humans. Anyhow, we use the gentleman as bait to catch the mother. We use the mother as bait to catch the two young ones. And then we said, okay, now we got these monkeys. Well, what are we going to do with them? We called Metro Toronto Zoo, said, we got some monkeys. Would you guys be interested? They're like, no, we can't take them. If we introduce them to a troop of monkeys at the Metro Toronto Zoo, they'd be killed instantly.
Yeah.
So we found another zoo about 3 hours away in Peterborough, Ontario, and they took the monkeys there.
Wow.
And the gentleman had to actually, they sent him testing to the CDC in Atlanta, be tested because of, HIV and hepatitis and what have you. Anyhow, he came back negative, but because he had all scratches all over his neck as the female would kind of try and mate with him. So that's kind of our most dangerous animal we've captured to date.
Heck of a story. Yeah.
It's just a fun and different, unique business that, you're out there. It's really exciting. Yeah.
Sounds like it. So what haven't I asked you that you think, is there anything that you think I haven't asked you that you'd like to include or that people should know?
Maybe just that, we'd like to see our services, our humane services, growing further across the US, because it really is tough when people think, just especially now that we're in baby season, that, all across all these cities, people are thinking, oh, I'll just set a trap and they'll trap and they'll take that nursing female, out to the country and let her go. And then these babies are left to die and rot and suckle on insulation in attics or in wall cavities. So just to, educate that trapping is definitely should never be done during birthing season from, end of February into end of June, but even other times of year, because in hotter climates, if you put a trap out on a roof and you get a squirrel in a trap and it's on a roof in 100-degree weather, that animal is going to die a slow death of heat exhaustion and your heat stroke. And same in northern climates, you put a trap on a roof in Minnesota in the winter and you get a raccoon or a possum or a skunk in a trap. I mean, it's going to freeze to death by the next morning. So even though people think trapping, these they call them so-called humane little box traps that the animal goes in there alive, but based on the weather and the birthing season, they really aren't very humane. So, just in our opinion, trapping really, really needs to be kind of reduced. And, we'd love to see more companies do a more humane approach, such as what we do here at Skedaddle.
You wouldn't mind the competition, sounds like.
No, we don't mind competition. Being a former pro hockey player, I'm a pretty competitive guy. And if there's a market we're in, we're going to be the best. So
awesome.
Our line of work, because it's every day's different. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like we'll go to over 150 homes a day today in all of our locations. So there's always a story, whether it's a raccoon running around someone's bedroom or, in weird spots, like in a Home Depot, we've had baby raccoons in a big barrel that we have to get out. It just never ends at some of these fun jobs that are great visual from whether video or a TV show that are out there.
Sounds like a reality TV show.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
I mean, I would invest. Birds though, birds must be tough, huh?
Yeah, no, we can handle them.
Birds.
Like, we've got birds like in a commercial setting, like a Home Depot or a Lowe's, they'll nest up in the rafters. So we have to net all that off. Birds will, in a residential home, a vent for your kitchen stove or your bathroom, birds will nest in there. And everybody thinks the nest is this nice little round nest that you see on TV. A long pipe, we can pull out 2 garbage bags full of nesting material.
Wow.
And people always think, well, you touch the birds, the parents aren't going to come back. That's a fallacy. We'll pick those birds out and we put them on the wall. We seal off where they can't get in. We'll put a baby jug there, so the parents can come back and feed them. And it's a great educational tool, especially if young family, have your kids watch and you'll see the parents feed them, and then they're gonna leave the nest. And another thing we always educate, if a bird is on the ground, don't pick it up. They're learning how to fly. They can only fly 6 to 10 feet for a couple of days before they get their real wings. Kind of like a toddler, learns to crawl before he walks. Don't touch those birds. The parents are around, they're feeding them. So it's a lot of educating with that. The birds leave, just knock our jug off the wall. Your house is protected, but you use this as a great educational tool for your children.
Yeah.
So it's always educating. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, keep at it. I'm sure I mean, definitely respect and appreciate that. Your mission.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I will definitely have your link either at the bottom of the screen or somewhere where it's easily accessible so folks can find out more about you.
Oh, that's great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.